than season, and a lot is going on. So we are really happy that you created time for us to join us today on behalf of the UNESCO, ICBA, UNICEF, ESARO, and African Union. I want to welcome you to this one-on-one dialogue meeting. We are very excited to have you online, and I want to thank you so much for all the great work that you've been doing for the KIX Hub. Want to thank so much Alphaba for coordinating us, and all these other colleagues that have been really working so hard to make sure that our hub is visible, and for the insights, the guidance, participating in all the webinars. We want to appreciate you so much, and it's exciting. It's like the Gambia is one of our best countries. Really want to really applaud you for that, and thank you very much. Today, of course, we want to hear more about you. We want to hear some of the things concerning the hub that you want us to strengthen, and what we can do differently together. So I know that we've already taken a few minutes waiting for colleagues. I don't want to make it long. Allow me to simply hand over to my colleague, Marianne, to take over in her presentation, so that we can have enough time to listen in and have a chat. So let me hand over to you, Marianne. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victoria. All right, and it looks like we have any more colleagues joined? Nope, the same ones. All right, so thank you for that overview, Victoria. I'll share the agenda now, and then we'll go into the first item, which is a round of introductions, so we can all get to know each other in this space today. So we will begin with introductions, and then I'd like to take us through an overview of the KIX Africa 19 Hub and our country engagement strategy. And then we'll spend some time looking at the Gambia's priorities as expressed in previous assessments last year, in which you've told us what areas you'd like to focus on, what areas that you'd like capacity building, strengthening in. So we'll look at that. And then we'll move into the majority of the session, which will be a listening session, where we'll hear directly from you, starting with Mr. Alphaba, and then going into the other colleagues who are with us, hearing about any progress updates since we've started, hearing about any priorities, any plans that may have changed, and then checking to see if what you told us last year still applies for your work this year. So, and then we'll end with some takeaways and some future steps, what you're going to do next and what we're going to do next. So I think we'll begin with the introductions now. So I'll start us off first. You may have seen me through emails, but now you see me on camera, which I'll turn off in just a moment to save on bandwidth. But my name is Marianne Reyes-Checa, and I am the team leader and the hub management consultant for the KIX Africa 19 Hub. And I've been here for a couple of months now, and eager to get to know all of you today and finding out ways in which we can make the work of the hub better suit your existing work. So I will call on, let's call on the colleagues from the Gambia next, and then we'll move over to our in-house KIX team. So Mr. Alphaba, would you like to go next and introduce yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, I am in another meeting, so I may not participate fully, but I will try to contribute through texting because I am with Minister of Finance and we are finalizing a very urgent document for the country. So I'm Alphaba, the Minister of Education under the Planning Unit responsible for the IMIS and the ICT. So I may even have limited internet connection because we are outside the city. We are in the rural area somewhere. So, but if you cannot get me, then know that I have problem with internet. I apologize for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alpha. I think that we understand your situation today. You've been very, very helpful in organizing this meeting today, getting your colleagues on board, and just generally organizing and participating in hub activities. So we thank you for that. The most recent one being the way that you helped put together the presentation and presented at the assessment webinar last month. So thank you for that, and we understand the situation that you're in. Can I call on Ms. Musa Koma to go next?
And the opportunity to participate in this platform. My name is Musukuta Koma. I am the country director for Child Fund International de Gambia, and a very strong stakeholder in education in the country here, having series of years of good partnership with the Ministry of Education. It's always very interesting to participate in the forums like this one. Nice meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Musakoma, and appreciate your responsiveness as well through email. So thank you for what you've done so far with the hub. Could I call on Keba to go next? Mr. Keba.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you all. Keba Omar Jajisi, the National Coordinator of Education for All Campaign Network, the Gambia, one of the leading CSOs in education that is advocating for inclusive, equitable, quality education for all. It's a pleasure and to join this forum. I think this is the first time I'm actively engaging in this forum. I'm very much happy to be associated to this KIX meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keba. And if this is your first time engaging, I think it's going to be the best way to initiate yourself. So that's really great because we're going to hear directly from you, and you can speak directly with us versus having a very big session where you're one of many. So this is a great way to start off, and we hope that the relationship is very long lasting. So welcome.
Thank you.
I think we should now turn to our own team. So Victoria, would you like to introduce yourself?
I've muted myself. Okay, my name is Victoria Sachi Kanobe. I work for UNESCO ICBA. ICBA stands for the International Institute for Capacity Building in Africa. We are based in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and I work as the Senior Program Coordinator for Capacity Development for Education, but also the focal point for the KIX Hub on behalf of the consortium partners. By the consortium, I mean UNESCO, I mean African Union, and then UNICEF. So each of the consortium partners has got a focal point, and I'm the focal point on ICBA's side. And I work closely with my colleagues. Over to you, Marianne.
Thank you, Victoria. Yvonne, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Yvonne Boyer. I work with UNESCO ICBA in the KIX Africa 19 project as the male consultant. It's a pleasure to be here and to meet all of you virtually. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Yvonne. This is our core team. And Basawit, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you, Marianne. Hello, colleagues. My name is Bezawit. I work for UNESCO ICBA for KIX project as data management assistant. Thank you.
Thank you. And Hanak, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Heno Korkaye from ICBA. I'm here for technical support. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanak. And I believe we have one member from the Gambia who has just joined us. Fatoka, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone? I don't know if you can hear me, but we have a member from the Gambia, from the Gambian KIX team. Fatoka, would you like to introduce yourself? If you can hear me? If not, then maybe you can type in the chat box if you're unable to speak. or connect properly? Okay, I think we should continue. They've logged out. Maybe they'll rejoin in just a moment. Okay, so colleagues, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes giving a brief overview of what the KIX Africa 19 Hub is, who we are, what we're trying to do, and then we'll move on to looking, zeroing in and looking at the Gambia. Okay, so bear with me. And as my colleague Victoria pointed out, we are a consortium of partners who are managing the KIX Hub. And the consortium of partners is UNICEF Esaro, Eastern and Southern Regional Office. We are UNESCO ICBA, which we are here with you today, and we are the African Union Commission. So the three of us, we are managing this KIX Hub. The KIX Hub is a GPE, Global Partnership for Education, and an IDRC, that is the International Research and Development Center of Canada project. And here are some of the faces that we regularly see in the hub. This is from one of our recent learning events online on March 17th, in which we had several members from the Gambia joining us. So the idea is that when we are working together, we achieve more together and we learn more together. There are 18 partner countries in the hub. As you can see, they're mostly dispersed throughout Eastern, Western, and Southern Africa. And the Gambia, as Victoria has said, is one of our most active participants, and we love that. And everyone knows that, by the way. It's well known, it's a fact amongst those running the KIX Hub, is that we can count on the Gambia. That we know that they're going to show up, contribute, give input, give insight, and it will be useful and important. So we hope to continue that relationship and even increase it. So the hub's vision and mission is to become a one-stop regional resource forum for African education stakeholders in locating, harnessing, and implementing robust and emerging evidence on the 6 KIX thematic areas for the realization of Sustainable Development Goal 4 and the Continental Education Strategy for Africa's goals. So we have the UN's goals and we have the African Union's goals. And we also have your country's goals too. So they all work together and we draw up priorities from them to focus on. We run on a couple of core principles. These principles are country-led and country-centered dialogue, ideation, and innovation. We run on the principle of trusting relationships and partnerships that transcend the limitations of national borders, yet that still retain the essence of the context within those borders, but also the region. And we also run on the principle of the essential role of evidence in decision-making and design, that data and evidence need to inform, need to be gathered and need to inform the work that we do at the policy level and even at the school level and the classroom level. So using evidence to inform all of the work that we do, that's a goal of, it's a principle and it's a goal of the hub. So there are really 3 things that the hub is actually doing, three goals. So the first objective is we wish to generate and mobilize knowledge, data, and innovation in order to create networks in learning in these priority areas. So in those priority areas, teaching and learning and assessment, gender, inclusion and equity, early childhood education are some of the top 3. And within assessment, we have data management systems. The second objective is it links up with the first one, which is to enhance countries' technical capacity to implement the learning that they're doing in the first objective. So to enhance the country's capacity to implement their learning and their knowledge by reviewing opportunities and gaps in their policies, education sector plans, institutions, and systems. So you could look at the first as learning and mobilizing knowledge and data in these thematic areas, and the second one as institutional capacity building to actually apply the learning in these priority thematic areas. And objective 3 is, our objective is to sustain the engagement of you, of the relevant resourced actors, as well as the public, through constant engagement, through documentation, publicizing frameworks and strategies. So it's to sustain your engagement. So I'd like to take us into now looking at what do we mean by these priorities in education. I mentioned a few of them, like teaching, learning, and assessment, gender, inclusion, and equity, and ECCE. Let's take a look at what this actually means and looks like. So you may recall that last year, the first year of the project, we looked at what was considered most important to the countries. And teaching and learning, as you can see at the bottom, emerged as the most important priority area. That's not surprising. It also is not surprising because it underpins all the other areas. You can consider it to be the most important area, but not a separate area from the others, just one that underpins the others. And learning assessment came in next, followed very closely by the data challenge and inclusivity in education. And then followed by ECCE and gender equality. But again, none of these are really totally separate from each other. They're all very closely linked, and teaching and learning is what underpins all of them. But sometimes they need their own special focus for development, and then sometimes they need to be connected to others. So the first result here is what the focal points told us that they are most interested in working in. The second one here is what the LEGs, the local education groups, have told us too. And again, similar results. Teaching and learning emerges as the top priority, but followed closely by the other similar ones: data management, equity and inclusion, ECCE, and assessment. So let's focus now on what just the Gambia has told us. So these are like overall what the 18 countries collectively are saying. What is Gambia saying? So in October of last year, we asked you to tell us a bit more about what you'd like capacity strengthening exercises in, and which research areas that you're interested in learning more about. So let's take a look at the capacity building areas first. So on an institutional level, this is what we have received from the Gambia. Areas that they are interested in developing in themselves at the ministry level, at the local education group level. We heard that you'd like some capacity building and policy design and analysis, educational planning and projection techniques, project cycle management, including software applications and project management, MEL, monitoring, evaluation, and learning, for results-based management, transformational and instructional leadership, advanced qualitative and quantitative research methodology, application of action research, knowledge management, collaborative learning and adapting, communication skills, networking and partnership building, and engaging in this is one such way, by the way. It's a great way of building this. You also express interest in learning about how to build capacity for formative and summative evaluation, effective teaching methods for early childhood education, gender mainstreaming and auditing, implementation of gender responsive pedagogy, preventing school-related gender-based violence and instituting safe school guidelines, application of ICT in education, competency-based curriculum design and quality of education, and student learning during COVID-19. Now, this is obviously a very long list, and I'm going to return to this in just a moment. So let's look at the same time at what you've told us that you'd like to learn more about in terms of getting access to research and resources. You have expressed interest in learning research about barriers to effective instructional leadership and teacher support. Looking at good practices for children with special educational needs and excluded children. Studying why these children drop out and how to improve completion rates. What are the opportunities and challenges of tech in education? And on the right side, how do we improve the use of learning assessment data in school reforms? Data on the national level, regional level, international level, and the local level. You've also said that you'd like research on how to implement and improve and develop feedback mechanisms for schools. And analysis of challenges to education reform programs across the various echelons of the education system. This is a lot. It's quite an extensive list. It's quite detailed. And this is coming from your responses in the assessment taken last October. But we also realized that things may have changed since then. And not all the people who took this assessment are present in the room right now. So there are a few differences. So we'd like to hear from you then, going forward in the next portion of the meeting, which one of these do you feel stands out as the most pressing, the most urgent, the most immediate? And if there's anything else that has come up, and if there's been any improvement in these areas. So I'll return to these lists in just a moment, but we're now moving into hearing from you in this session. These are a couple of questions to guide us before I turn it over to you. So we would really, really, really love to hear about these three areas. So what have been your experiences with the hub so far, and what are your expectations of us? Have there been any changes? More like, what have the changes been? Because we know that there's been changes, there's good work that's being done. But what have the changes in the Gambia been since the project was launched exactly a year ago? And would you like to share any new knowledge in any of these areas? With other members of the hub? And testing projects and needs. So it's really these three areas. And if you'd like, we can go back to the previous slide, which showed the list of your responses for areas that you'd like to focus more on. But I think I'll keep with these three questions right here on this slide until you ask. Go back to the previous ones. About your experiences with the hub, your development since we launched it, and how we can focus more on your priorities and your plans and your projects. So I don't know if Alpha, if you've been able to listen to some of this, but it might make most sense to move to you at this point. If you're able to take a little time to respond. If not, we understand, but I'd like to call on you first, Alpha, if you are able to take a moment to share.
Okay, let me tell them. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, UNICEF want to join. I think they are having problem with the
Okay.
code. So can you let him help him? He got the email from me, but he is not able to see the code. I don't know whether you can have him register
Yes,
without
actually,
having to log in directly.
I already
I'm on the
emailed
phone
him.
with him right now.
Okay, I emailed him, but I'll email one more time. I emailed him about 20 minutes ago before we
Yeah,
began.
in
But
the
let
email
me do
you
that
received,
right now.
you should have a code in the email.
Okay.
Okay, he said he doesn't have the code in the email, the password. Maybe you can allow him to register without log in without registering. That's faster.
Sure.
Now that we have.
Let me stop sharing my screen for a moment. I did send him the password, but I'll send it again, no problem. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment and just take a quick break.
He's sending it again. He's sending it again.
Marian.
Yes.
I will send to him. Don't worry. I'll send to him the code.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Bezuet.
What's the code? I think there is some, yeah. So you should be fine now. I think you should get the code in a sec. Huh? They are sending the code to you. Huh? Okay, thank you. By email. Oh, put it on the text. Hello, can you put it on the text? I can just give it to him.
Okay. Can I put on the chat?
Yeah, put on the chat because I'm on the phone with him right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just 1 second. Okay. The Gambia, you have this one. The code is 9. Meeting ID is 957 4351 3186 3186, and the passcode is 276. Okay, 276 324. Yes. Okay. You are in. 276324. 24. Yes. Okay. Good luck. Welcome. Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that. I think I can mute now.
No, it's fine. And I'm sorry because when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see anything else. So I couldn't see the chat box in which you were
Hello,
struggling.
I'm on board now. Thank you very much for the support.
Yes, thank you, Maxime. Would you like to introduce
No,
yourself?
no, it's Nuha.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see a different name here.
Ah, okay. Yeah, maybe sorry, when I was typing names, I accepted Maxime. So yeah.
Great. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Nuha, yes.
Maybe you can tell what is Maxime Banwa.
No, that's why probably when it didn't accept me.
Okay. Well, we're happy to have you. Thank you for joining. It's Nuha, right? Nuha? Did I say it correctly?
Yes.
Nuha, yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Nuha, for joining.
Thank you.
You've come in at the right time. We've just paused in the PowerPoint. We were just about to start listening to the individual members from the Gambia about these 3 questions that are on the screen. So your experiences with the hub, your advancements since we first began, and how we can better align our work to your work. So if it's all right with you, I'd like to just ask you to introduce yourself first. You don't have to answer these 3 questions right now. You can give others a chance to jump in because you joined late, but we'd like to at least hear from you, at least from the KIX team, about the work that you engage in and just a bit about you.
Okay.
So Nuha, if you can introduce yourself and your organization, that'd be great.
Oh, okay, great. I am Nuha Jata. I'm the education specialist for UNICEF Gambia. All right, and other than managing the education program, I also coordinate the activities of the local education group on behalf of the representative, who is the chair of.
Thank you, Nuha. And I think, Alpha, were you trying to say something, or are you coming in?
No, I didn't realize I was not moved.
Okay, Alpha, would you like to comment on any of these three questions while we have you online, or do you have to go back for your other meeting?
No, okay. I think I can. I have a window right now that I can participate.
Okay, thank you.
In terms of the Gambia experience with an expectation of the hub, I think it has been good. The experience has been an eye opener because it came at a time when the Gambia was hit by the pandemic and school closure, and almost everything was shutting down, and there was anxiety and fear of what can we do, how do we continue working, and all these borders has closed and everything has closed. But one of the things that the hub did was to bring people, to keep people moving, even though there was everything was shut down. We had a new way of trying to operate while we were trying to figure out how to do that at national level. The experience, the fact that it has worked with our colleagues from West Africa and other countries and our partners overseas has been a real opener. So opportunity that helped the countries and some of us who participated to learn and how to deal with it. Because if this is the new norm of doing business in terms of sharing knowledge and resources, I would say that the hubs came at a time when we needed to experience and participate, because we have not been experienced in this kind of at that scale. So that's one way I can first describe it. And the other challenge in terms of the sharing knowledge and experience, even within the same country, within the same unit, within the same ministry, you have a challenge of how do you pass on your knowledge? How do you learn from a partner or a colleague? And again, that's the challenge, because here there's a common saying that says that education sector, you are doing very well, but you are not good at sharing it. So, and in that context, you have to have other people trying to tell your story. And the KIX was able to provide some kind of insight, some kind of roadmap on how we can really share experience and knowledge. So again, it's a matter of trying to adopt those kind of strategies and ways to share with our local partner, because what we try to do, or what we have learned during the KIX, participating with our regional partners, is something that needs to be done at the local level. How do we share experience in the headquarters in Banjul with our regional offices, now that we can using virtual and using this kind of cost-effective measures. So this is something that is really pertinent and expected to trickle down to the classroom, or even to the community level. So that's another thing. And in terms of aligning the work of the Gambian priority and plans, yeah, I think that one we KIX allow us to come together and identify our priority. That is another part where we thought we were involved in the beginning. It was not something passed on to us. We had to design our own space and develop it. So again, that was very, very useful. But I would say the plans we have in the KIX, the priorities we have there, and the project that we have discussed were our own driven, not pushed on us. So in a nutshell, this is what I have to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Alpha. Can I just ask you one follow-up question? If there has been any improvement on your end, or any development or capacity strengthening on your end, any progress made in any of these areas that you've identified that you need to learn more about or build your capacity in? Have there been any updates in any of these areas because of any of the work of the hub? If not, that's all right, but we're trying to scope out whether there has been any type of progress update.
Yeah, I think in terms of progress update, we've been trying to scale up some of the lessons we learned from the scale internally. Like I said, even while I was, when we do have, we have regular meeting on virtual, even though business is going back to normal in the Gambia. The experience we got from working in this virtual space, we are trying to adapt it now. Even yesterday we had a meeting where we had all our focal points, on a virtual meeting. And even the people who are overseas on training, now we are able to participate. On Friday, we had a similar meeting where we had some of our colleagues in India participated. So we are really learning from there. But in terms of the practical aspect of it happening, we still have challenges in terms of capacity. And it's only a very few of us. We have challenges in terms of resources, in terms of the enabling infrastructure to ensure that people can effectively participate. And at some point, when you do participate in this kind of virtual sessions, you end up having to spend your own resources to join, which is something. But I don't know whether your question is around that, but if it is, this is what I have to say.
Right. Well, that's very important, and it's good to hear that there have been lessons extracted from that. It's also interesting to us to know whether or not any of the changes have been because of your involvement with the hub, because of being in contact with other countries, or having the access to the digital resources on the repository, or taking part in any of the meetings. It's okay if there haven't been updates because of the hub, but we're just kind of also curious to know whether any of the hub's activities have led to any progress updates or any changes on your end. So any changes because of the hub. And it's okay if there aren't any, but we're curious to know whether there are.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to exclude the hub or include to say directly is the hub. I think directly and indirectly, the hub has really helped. This is what I said in the beginning. That definitely it was a very much eye opener and lesson learned from it. And I would say yes to that. I think the hub was able to impact this good.
Thank you, Alpha. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your updates, for your insight. I'm wondering if there are other members from the team, which ones would like to come in next? So Keba, perhaps you, or Musa Koma, you've been here the entirety of the time patiently. So over to you, colleagues, the team from the Gambia. Please feel free to come in. You can comment on any of these 3 points. We'd love to hear from you. Please come in.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Keba from the Gambia. The experience, like I said, this is the first time I'm coming in direct contact with you, although I've been receiving mails, and at certain point, because of my time calculation, I actually do miss the meetings, the hub meetings. But so far, we have been in constant contact with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. They've been too engaging. We have always been having very good relation and working with them according to our education objectives. Regarding what has changed, because I have not been, participating much, only by receiving mails and seeing the communications. But again, this has also improved significantly, because to a great extent, like Alpha told you, we are very good in developing policies and programs, but we are somehow weak in sharing experiences and knowledge, which actually doesn't mean that we are naive, but because it might not have been a priority for some of us to share, or maybe due to the space to share, that actually makes it a little bit difficult. But in terms of what we do and then trying to align our work and priority, like as an education advocacy group in the Gambia, we are also very much interested in one aspect, which is education project tracking, education financing and project tracking, which I have not seen in the list, although it's an area that we are very much interested, and we actually want the hub to look at it, and then we want to also learn from other country experiences and share with them how they actually engage in their respective countries in terms of how do they track education project and how do they advocate for an increase in the 4S, like the sensitivity of the budget, scrutiny, the size, and as well as the share of the national budget of financing education. So basically, this is my take. I think with sharing of knowledge through this hub, it would give us a comparative advantage, and we'll be able to advocate more for more financing of education. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keba. If I can just ask a follow-up question, who would you like to learn from, and which knowledge, who would you like to have as knowledge partners? You mentioned that people within the ministry are also, you'd like to, even within the same country, but the hub also connects countries together from across the region and even across the continent. So do you see that that could be a possibility as well? At what level would you like to connect and share knowledge and resources? Is it more within the country, or is it more within the region, across countries?
In terms of sharing learning knowledge, like in country, we would actually maybe the planning unit in terms of the finance section of the planning unit, the budget and finance section in terms of the allocation of the budget, or in terms of financing education, and the sub-region by extension, those countries in the HOP 19 countries that are actually, I may not actually know the ones that are, but anybody who is ready to share with us how they are actually doing their budget tracking and analysis and making sure that they advocate for an increase in the education budget allocation.
I see. That's very specific. Thank you. And I'm sure that we're taking notes of that so that we can find ways to follow up on that. That's regarding governance of education and management of education. I think that's definitely something that falls under the areas of focus. We can look into that. If I can ask another member of the team, that is if you're finished, Keba, another member of the team to come in from the Gambia, please feel free to unmute, and you can comment on any of these areas and take it in any direction that you would like.
Thank you, Marianne. I want to come in here. It's great to participate in this forum, the Africa 19 Hub, but similar to Keba's experience, I tried to join the series of trainings or discussions organized, but due to time difference, I missed out a lot of them. When I connect, nobody is there. So maybe we missed the +3, GMT +3. Maybe that's what we missed. So I hope we will be more attentive next time so that we don't miss. Especially there was an interesting discussion around COVID-19 impact on the school, something like that, which I really planned to attend, but I could not. So just to tell you that our experience with the hub is still at a very baby or initial stage, but we look forward to a very interesting experience. So Similarly, also, I think what I look forward in participating in this hub is trying to benefit from cross-country knowledge exchange and mobilization. You know, I know most of the African countries have got similar objectives or strategies in trying to make education accessible and also quality education. So there may be strategies or certain things being implemented in other countries that I think Gambia could benefit from, but also Gambia may be doing something very remarkable and outstanding that we can also share. So the knowledge management and the sharing is one thing that I look forward to the hub to be facilitating. And we hope this, of course, you saw this, you presented the slide whereby we pointed out some of the things that we look forward to. And I think maybe the list may be long, but for the start, we may do a prioritization so that once you do a synthesis, you'll be able to see which other countries also interested in learn. We could do a pair or a tripartite relationship, and also we are trying to learn from each other. So I look forward to your facilitator role in the some of these things. Now, the other thing also that I think this platform is very useful is trying to bring us together. You know, one important forum and one interesting forum here is the leg. With the leg, when it is time for the leg meeting, you know, all other education stakeholders come together and we share ideas, we learn from each other. We try to see what best we could do, of course, with common goal and common objective. So I also look forward to the hub also to serve a similar purpose, whereby it will be an opportunity for us to come together and we are talking. Even internally, we can be able to, because of the hub, we may be tasked at a point to say, all right, the Gambia, you've been doing this particular thing very well. Prepare a knowledge sharing session on this that you're going to present to other countries during this hub meeting. So of course, literally that is bringing us together and also strengthening our bond more and more and more. So that's what I look forward to. Thank you for now.
Excellent. And I'm glad that you ended on the note of coming in and sharing your knowledge and your expertise in a certain area with other countries. And this week, we have a meeting on Thursday in which we'll ask everyone to please tell us through a survey what areas they think they can contribute to in terms of what they'd like to share knowledge on. And there will also be a chance to join a community of practice in 4 different main grouped together thematic areas like ECCE, gender and inclusion, data management, and then teaching and learning and assessment. And then within those groups that countries are joining, there will be many chances to present on areas that you feel that you are leading on, and also learn from others in areas that there are gaps in. So there'll be lots of chances to do that. And I think this is an open invitation. If there is an area that you feel confident and strong in, we are always looking to highlight those examples. We can do that through newsletters, through Facebook posts, social media posts, as well as sharing in a conference. So there's an area, we know that there's a lot of good work that's being done. It's not just about gaps, it's also about sharing good practices that are also happening already. So you can consider today's dialogue as setting up a direct line of communication. So now that you know us, you've seen us, even if you've missed the meetings, there's a direct line of communication now that you should feel free and comfortable with letting us know that you'd like to share a fact about a certain area or learn more about a certain area. That is open now, and then we'll put you in touch with the right people, or else give you the platform to share something because we know that there's good work that's happening and that we always want to draw that out. So thank you for that. And you're right, this is a very long list. It's an extensive list, but this conversation is helping to draw out some of the priorities from this list. But if there is an area that you feel like is most important right now that you'd like to spend more time in, this is also a good place to bring that up. If there's an area that seems like it stands out as being more important than others this year for the Gambia in your work. So I don't think we've heard from Nuha yet. Would you like to address any of these three areas? We'd like to hear from you.
Right. I think I'm not sure whether I can fairly address these areas, because I think ever since the first mission came here sometime 2019, we had meetings with them, and since then I literally got disconnected from the routines of this. I see communication fine, but then I lost track. But parallel to this, I'm also in the UNICEF online management strategy, and we do a series of meetings on this. I think today or tomorrow we'll have another meeting on that. But basically, what I can hear from the comments is it seems there isn't enough information or awareness of the hub that people can use beyond the small group of Ethernet, MOPSI, and the Child Fund. So I think that awareness to increase the number of people or the number of organizations that can come onto these meetings are very important. Otherwise, it's like a small thing, and maybe MOPSI may not be knowing exactly what others are doing, which is fantastic and is worth knowledge sharing. So those are some of the things that I can see coming out in that. And how can people join on the hub? So those type of information is there. Then what's the focus in terms of content? How is content shared in the hub, or how can you access it even in times where the meetings are not happening? So I definitely don't have much understanding from the operations of the hub, but from the conversation, I can see those things striking me coming out clearly. Yes. Over, Marianne.
Thank you, Nuha. That's very specific. And it gives us some feedback as well as to how to make the hub more of a resource and more visible as well. Do you think that from the list of capacity building priorities that have been highlighted, is there any area here that you think stands out as being really important for the kind of work that is happening at the country level in the Gambia? Because this is really where it starts, is that this is how we become known, this is how we provide opportunities for coming together or any type of resources. It has to start with some of these areas here. So is there anything that you feel is most important that needs to be focused on?
Okay, looking at the current slide that is up, I mean, if you go one by one, you see all of them very, very important. But one has to narrow it down. Like, for example, if you say, let's take any three that would stand out. Okay, for example, results-based management. Yes, that's something which we can look at, because it's like we are implementing programs, projects over and over, but how do we know that we are getting these results? How do we measure the results? How do we share the results? How do we disseminate it so that it informs our way of doing it? Because otherwise, what you ended up measuring is just activities. Yes, I've done training, 100 people train. I've supplied this number of materials and things like that. But doing that has that translated into results, and how that results informs you about the resources you have put in. So I think that's very important. A lot of organizations will tell you, yes, I've done this, but how do you translate that into results? What you have done? Okay, then I see that very important. And then along that the same column also, I can see knowledge management and collaborative learning, also very important. All right, simply because it is an area that is not sort of very much moving well. Like you do something, you gain an experience, but have you been able to document this in a manner that it keeps on beneficial to society for a long time? Okay, for example, many of those people on board knows about the Ministry of Education, BOMPS's coordinating committee meetings, all right, CCM. All right, this has been hailed as something good. Anybody who is invited it will say this is good. All right, but what is happening is that has not been documented in terms of processes, in terms of challenges, in terms of how it's done. So that a couple of days, years down the line, if, for example, we had a break because of COVID, it has not been done throughout 2020. And 2021, it has not been done. Okay, assuming it's not been done for 3 years, a lot of staff would have moved on who were maybe very instrumental in the functioning of that and the information. So if the new generation wants to do it or wants to revisit it and use it as a learning to do something similar, they might not be able to get anything to refer to. So those are, that's one case in point. So documenting our experience and what we have learned from our activities, so that it becomes like something that will serve posterity, is very important. So I think for me, those two are very, very important. And probably one can link these to any of programmatic areas. Like you choose a programmatic area, for example, ECE, and then link it to any of these two. What is our results like in ECE and things like that? So those are some of the things that we can consider. Yeah. But taking a limited number of priorities, for me, these two, and then link it with a priority that is relating to program. All right. Like, for example, it can be ECE or it can be any other area. Yes. Over.
Thank you. That's very specific, and I like how you said that these skills here, results-based management, knowledge management, these can be linked to a policy area, like one of the thematic areas. I think that's exactly what we're envisioning as well, is that these thematic areas are like, for example, gender, inclusion and equity. Within that, underneath that, there would be space to practice MEL, results-based management, knowledge management, collaborative learning, etc. These are like it's like not to make it too simplistic, but it's like content versus skills in a classroom. And I also like how you brought up the idea that results-based management is like too much right now focus on activities, that this is what we're doing, this is the inputs that we're giving, but then it's not focused enough on the meaning and on the impact. And that's, again, going back to like a classroom scenario, too much focus on the teacher activity and not enough on the students learning, the students understanding. So again, that also kind of, this area here links up beautifully with assessments in a way. So thank you for that feedback, not to take up too much time in my response to it, but thank you for pointing out these areas. This is something we can definitely work with. And I just noticed that there's a connection to something that Malawi said the other day in their direct dialogue, that they're also facing a similar issue with knowledge management and institutional knowledge sharing and documenting of knowledge. So you see, you're not alone. There's plenty of I think others who would also be interested in this area, I think. And I want to give a chance for some of my colleagues to come in from for everyone now, both from my side, from the KIX side, but also if there's any comments from other team members from the Gambia that you want to comment on someone else's points, feel free to take the floor now. So I think it's an open floor for anyone who'd like to comment. Please feel free.
Hello, Marianne. This is Victoria.
Yes. Yes.
And I want to thank the colleagues so much for their thoughts, really, and the discussion at hand. I had posted a question in the chat room as I listened to all these wonderful ideas. And I was trying to figure out, where do we start from? And then also, what can we do to engage or to ensure that more education sector staff and partners at country level participate or benefit in the hub activities? I know we have good ideas of these capacity building interventions, but in terms of popularizing the hub, and I threw that question in the chat room. And I think also we need to be honest in terms of what will work and what won't work. And I saw that Alpha made a comment that we need to at least make sure there's a presentation at the local education group level to introduce KIX, and then agree on other meetings at the leg level every quarter in terms of when we keep the different partners up to date. Because when people get to understand what the hub is all about, they also get more enticed in terms of benefiting from the hub or participating in the hub activities. And I would really be interested in listening into colleagues, that is, other colleagues that are here online, Musu, Keba, and Nuha, in terms of what we need to do differently to make sure that we have more people engaged, participating in the hub activities, and basically like to keep the candle burning, and then eventually we'll reach the results that we are talking about. So those are my thoughts, and probably it's almost like a question that I'm handing over back to the colleagues to just make us more focused to start figuring out, where do we start from? Yeah. Over to you, Marianne.
Thank you, Victoria. Yeah, I think I would echo with what Victoria has ended on, is that where do we start from here? We have gotten some specific points in this call. Obviously, not everything can be addressed all the time. I like the idea, Nuha's idea of looking at a couple of specific skill areas through the vehicle of the thematic area in terms of that kind of learning. I think on Thursday, if you're able to join us on Thursday, we'll be introducing a proposal about this for institutional capacity building in some of those thematic areas and in those skill areas. And we would hope that you invite members, relevant members from LEGs, as well as the ministry, to attend those the series of learning events that will be structured around that. This is a great way to engage more people who maybe are not currently so engaged, but that should be there at these sessions, at these learning events. So I know that there's a comment here to engage LEGs more. And any other thoughts? I'd like to turn it back over to Musa, Keba, perhaps Nuha again. I know you just spoke, but if you have more thoughts, back over to you. This is a time for you to react, reflect, question, agree, disagree.
Yes, Marianne. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. All right. I think I'll try to go back to Victoria's question. Basically, where are we going to, or where what do we want to go get to? But I think for me, we need to understand first of all, where are we? All right, in the sense that, okay, I try to understand when we say the KIX hub, how do we envision it? Is it all online? Is it these interactive sessions that you have? Or how does the platform, how does this represent itself for somebody who may not necessarily be part of these online things? All right. So once, because for me, I keep on hearing the hub, because maybe it's my first time being in this meeting, all right, but how does it represent itself for me to visualize or conceptualize the hub in order to understand, okay, spatially, this is where the hub is today, and this is the direction of travel, and we hope to be somewhere in a couple of years' time. So how does it represent itself visually or conceptually for somebody to, okay, even if you close your eyes, you can say, okay, this is what I'm holding. Over.
Thank you, Nuha. That's very keen. So yes, you're right. Right now the hub is so there is a 3-year plan for the hub, and each year the idea is that it starts with the first year being one where we're learning about countries, we're learning about where they're standing, what they would like, what they need, and where they are strong in, and then it gradually becomes more of a place where capacities are built, where there are chances to strengthen identified gaps and needs in countries. And then by the time that the end of the project after 3 years, it's expected in a couple of years from now that countries will have progress to share, actual steps that they have made. And it won't perhaps lead to policies being rewritten or institutions being created or new units or departments being made, but the right ingredients will have been set up for more sustainable change. Networks will have been developed. New people will have met and exchanged information and learned from each other. So the right ingredients will take place for longer change. It may not be directly because of the hub that something happens later on down the road, but it will be indirectly as a result of the influence. And then we're also it would be something that would be very desirable to have the members of the hub taking on more and more leadership roles and more active roles, where they start discussion boards, they come, they present at sessions, they take this to their own countries. So the comment from Alpha making a presentation to the LEGs, I thought about something like that being done by focal points and by members of the ministry who are engaged with the hub, bringing it to others, inviting people from their contacts, from their networks to come and engage and to come to meetings and to share in the work that's being done. This is supposed to be a place that's led by countries. It's centered on countries and it's led by countries too. This is a facilitation network of putting people together to exchange good practices and to learn together. And so we're providing learning opportunities, but it won't end there. It starts there. It doesn't end there. So the learning events that happen right now have been primarily online because due to COVID, and also because it is something that will happen even after we resume in-person work. The online engagement will still probably be a key feature of the hub because it's a great way to engage people from across one end of the continent to the other end of the continent. But there is understanding that things will start to happen in person. So there's a chance even for that very soon. There was we were having a conversation with another country recently at a direct dialogue, and an opportunity identified itself that there would be a chance for the team members, the team like yourselves, to hold assessment, formative assessment training in country, sort of like a training of trainers, like a cascading model. And that's something that arose during this meeting, is that there was a need to have an in-person assessment training session. So that's something that it would not be done by the Hub Secretariat, but it would be still part of the Hub, because it's something that Hub members are doing for their in-country teachers. So I know that's a lot of different points there that I'm saying, but there is a 3-year plan, and it's increasingly equipping countries more and more to take more of a lead role and bringing things to the Hub, bringing things, sharing things that they're working on, that they're doing because of knowledge that's been shared and exchanged, not only in these learning events, but also outside of that too, like holding a session with teachers in country because of something that has been learned or exchanged or uncovered because of the Hub, for example. I hope I'm being as clear as possible, but this is supposed to be a network, bringing people together to learn together and to talk about challenges and emerging knowledge in various areas. And it may be also because I know that you're newer to the Hub, but also we haven't quite launched yet our full engagement strategy, but we're doing that this week and go over this year. We've just begun our second project year. Victoria, if you'd like to come in this area, feel free.
Marianne, at country
Yes.
level, how does the Hub represents itself, or how is the Hub represented in terms of whether there are structures that the program envisage to set up at country level? How do you bring the interested parties together? What sort of structures are envisaged? Over.
Right. So at the country level, the capacity building sessions and the learning events that we have, we try to invite always more than one member from the country KIX team. So the idea is that we have a variety of members, stakeholders from the KIX country teams, who are in different areas, in the thematic areas. So someone, for example, in curriculum, someone, for example, in EMIS, someone, for example, in ECCE, and not just at the ministry, but also the local education groups. I should have said that in the beginning. So people who are engaged in these different areas at the national level come together and represent when we have meetings and learning and capacity building sessions. It should never just rest on a single person. It should always be represented where we have, we try to invite multiple people to come. And then in these spaces, there are chances to work together, both nationally as like a national team, but also internationally with others. So imagine, say, in a Zoom session, like a session we're having right now, having a space to talk with several other members from the Gambia to talk about a few specific questions, a few specific areas, a few specific needs, and then coming out and connecting with someone from Zambia, someone from Mozambique, to then talk about how it's similar or how it's different, like that. But then, it's always at both the national level, but also on a regional level. So because the Hub is a place that connects people together from different regions, from different areas, not only within the country, but also across different countries, but that it impacts within the country. Did I make myself clear or not yet?
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
And also the you as representing now, you as part of the hub in the focal point, we would hope that you can also help to represent the possibilities of this engagement and invite people, bring people in, and take the learning forward. So when there's a resource that's shared or when there's a dialogue that happens, making sure that the right people that you know who are the best resourced people to take part in this, take part in it and also receive the information. You've mentioned the knowledge sharing, knowledge management platform, or the need for that.
Yeah.
So that's an area that should ideally be led, facilitated and introduced perhaps by KIX, by the Secretariat, but also led by the in-ministry and LEG members. How is that going to take place? That's something that's very specific to the ministry, very specific to in-country knowledge sharing. And that would ideally be led, inspired by the hub, but then led by the work of the hub, the KIX hub team members in that country, with getting feedback from the hub secretariat. I hope I'm making clear. I know it's a little bit abstract. And if members from my team would like to jump in and contribute, because this is now a bigger discussion about the purpose of the hub, feel free to do so. I don't know if Victoria or Yvonne or Bezuit would like to come in and add anything. I know we have just one more minute left.
Sorry, Marianne. I think for me, you've said it all, given the time factor we're also facing, because you've really responded to it very well. I don't really have anything more to add, but I think when we strengthen our engagement with the team at country level, they will understand more about the hub and its intended objectives. Of course, all this was hampered by the COVID-19 pandemic. So it has been like very dynamic in terms of the way we've kept the hub going. So I don't want to add more, but I'm looking forward probably for more specific interventions, or how do I call them, like more specific guided ways on how we can make the engagement of the hub better at country level. I hope it can be sent to us so that then we can be able to engage more meaningfully with the team in the Gambia. But otherwise, thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you, Victoria. If there are no other comments from any of the two teams, the KIX team or the Gambian team, then I think we should say goodbye for the day. It is time now, and we've go ahead.
Sorry, Marianne, just one more thing. I don't know if the colleagues in the Gambia have also engaged with our digital repository link, because there's a lot that is going on. Probably we need to share the link with them so that they can see a lot of the reports and things that have been happening that can also help them understand more how to benefit from the hub.
I'll share the link in the chat box. In fact, I'll show you where it's located too on the website. I'm sure you can see my screen now. So it's on our UNESCO ICFA website on the upper right-hand corner. I'll also share the link too. So the hub, and then on the left, the repository. And this is, it's like a digital library of resources, both country-specific resources and also thematic resources in the priority areas: assessment systems, teaching and learning, ECCE, gender equality, data management, equity and inclusion, learning during COVID. I'll share the link into the chat box.
Okay, thank you very much. If you have that comment, I put it in the comment box.
Okay, and I also want to follow up on one point that was mentioned. about the time differences. We tend to put down East African time, as well as the Greenwich Mean Time (GMT) +3 next to it. And I know that Gambia is at GMT time, so 3 hours behind. But we also tend to put down after that, please check your own time zone. But I know that you've missed out a couple of meetings, but we apologize for that inconvenience. And I know that you sounded like you were eager to log on, and then you logged on and it was already passed. So apologies for that. As much as possible, we'll try to be more inclusive in mentioning the various multiple time zones that countries may be tuning in from, or else just please just check to see if the time is, what time is written afterwards. The time is always specified, which time zone is written. And we will share with you the recording of as well as the news article for the resources too, for the assessment webinar during COVID-19 that you missed, that took place last month. We'll share that with you so that you can still see what was said and done. I know that Musa Como mentioned that she had missed that meeting. So thank you for pointing that out. And again, we're sorry that the time doesn't always work out. Not everything can be, I guess, the same time zone, but I know that we're working with multiple countries. So sorry about that, and we appreciate your patience. And we know that every minute of your time is important, being ministry and education officials and heads. So we appreciate the time you took today to meet us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Marian and team. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you, everybody. And
thank you. Thank you, everybody.
You have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a blessed Ramadan.